Hello, welcome to my first homemade soap video. Today I'm going to show you how to make soap. First I'll give a brief overview, then we'll go make a batch. But you might say, why should I make soap when I can just go buy it? Well, there are several reasons. You can make soap exactly like you want it. You can make soap without chemical additives. Homemade soap is better for your skin. Also, making soap is a fun hobby and a valuable skill. So, just what is soap and how is it made? Soap is a molecule that grabs water on the outside and oil on the inside. It's a surfactant that makes oils water-soluble. That's how it gets you clean. Soap is made by a chemical reaction between fatty acids and sodium hydroxide. In simple terms, the sodium hydroxide cleaves the triglycerides and then combines with them, producing soap and glycerin. Sodium hydroxide is a natural chemical made from sodium chloride or regular table salt. It's a corrosive alkali and must be handled with care. Homemade soap used to be called lye soap because the old-timers didn't understand the chemistry and didn't weigh their ingredients. They always used too much lye to make sure that all the fat was converted to soap, but then their soap had some leftover lye, which irritated the skin. Nowadays, the chemistry is well documented and the ingredients are precisely weighed so that all the lye and nearly all the fats are consumed in the reaction. So don't worry, there is no lye left in properly made soap. Now, about handling lye. The first rule of handling corrosives is, don't get it on you. The second rule is, if you do, wash it off immediately. Don't splash it, don't spill it, and don't dribble it when pouring. Don't make soap when you might be distracted, surprised, or bumped. Keep the kids out of the kitchen. You should use a plastic smock, rubber gloves, and goggles if you're not comfortable handling corrosives safely. Okay, enough introduction. Let's go make a batch.
Okay, here we are ready to make soap. I'll go through the various things we're using. First and foremost is the spreadsheet with all the calculations on it. That tells us how much of each ingredient to use and how much it'll produce. Then we have a sink with about 2 or 3 inches of water in it and a saucer in the bottom to keep our cup from turning over when we set it in there. We have a digital scale, a Pyrex cup, a glass of water, and a 3-quart stainless steel pitcher. And then we have this drain cleaner of this brand, which, if you'll notice, is 100% lye. You don't want to use other brands because they contain other additives that you don't want in soap. And for the other ingredients, we have olive oil, palm oil, and coconut oil. Now the palm oil and the coconut oil won't pour at room temperature, so I've warmed them up just a bit in the microwave so that they're pourable. And over here we have a silicone mold in an insulation box. Now this silicone mold is flexible and it doesn't stick to the soap. And I've made this insulation box out of polyiso insulation board. We're going to be making 6.5 ounce bars in that mold. First we're going to make our caustic solution since it gets hot and takes a while to cool down. So we put a Pyrex cup on there, turn the scale on, 0, and our sheet shows us that we need 244 grams of water. So we'll put that right in there and read the scale up to 244. Now we've got 244 grams of water. We're going to set that cup down here in the sink, in the water, the cold water around it. Now we're going to measure our lye. This is where you might want to use gloves if you're not used to handling corrosives. Take a nice dry bowl, zero it out, and our sheet shows us that we need 120 grams of lye. Now when you open this, it starts to absorb water, so you want to open it and get it closed as fast as possible. Also, you never want to sit it down with it open. And here we go with the dangerous stuff. I'm making 33% caustic, by the way. Cap that lye before you set it down. Put it well out of the way. Now we've got 120 grams of dry sodium hydroxide there, and we're going to pour it in the water. This is another kind of dangerous spot because the water will heat up from the exothermic reaction and it'll give off some fumes and you don't want to breathe them. So here we go. Dumping the powder in the water. Now since there is still some crystals in that bowl, I'm going to drop it straight in the sink. Just stir that around and stand back and have your fan blowing the fumes away. Drop that spoon in the water that has 33% caustic on it, and then pop in your stainless style thermometer. 175, 180, 185, almost 190. I should have started with colder water. Meanwhile, that's going to have to sit there in the water bath in the sink for a while and cool down to about 100 degrees, which is going to take a little while. I'll do some editing, don't worry. Now we're going to weigh our oils. We need 260 grams of coconut oil 76, scale, pot, 0, preheated coconut oil, $2.59, close enough. Cap the coconut and put it away. Now we need $2.70 on the olive oil. 0 out the scale. Double check, $2.70 on the olive. $2.70 on the nose. Okay, now we'll tear that out back to 0 grams and have 280 grams of palm oil. $2.75, 80, with a few grams left over. Now we're through with the scale, so we'll remove it from the scene. And our caustic is down to 110 degrees. No, that's 105. Yeah, that's close enough. Wash the caustic off the thermometer. Pick it up carefully. Put the oil pot in the sink. Pour in the caustic quickly without dribbling it. Put the caustic cup in the water. Now, we'll mix it and then pour it very quickly before it starts setting up, hopefully. So, we'll get our mold ready. We'll take our stick blender and not set it down flat, but set it at a little bit of an angle. Put it on low speed. You can see that it rolls the oil and water around until it turns it into a tan milky, but you can still see some oil swirls there in the top. Now if I don't hurry, it's going to set up before I get it in the mold. And then it'll be like trying to put peanut butter in the mold. Okay, that mixture is very causticy, so we'll pop it off and drop it straight in the water. Okay, it's about to get too thick to pour. So here we go. It's almost pudding state. Pouring, 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 pouring. And I calculated this to have about 50 cc's of extra, because there's always a certain amount of waste on the blender and in the pot. Of course, you want to use a cake spatula to scrape out your pot. It's almost too thick to pour. Get that last one filled up. A lot of people just use a loaf mold, which is just a rectangular box. It's not so critical how much you make. You just make enough so the mold doesn't run over, and you pour it as full as it'll go. And then then after it hardens, you use a soap cutter like this to cut it into blocks. But I started out and decided I'd use a mold, a good silicone mold, so that all the bars would be of consistent size. Now I've got a little oil in the corner of that one. I did not mix quite enough, and it's too late now. I'm going to have to live with it. Get them evened up there. That last one's still going to be just a bit short, isn't it? But that is going to be good enough. And that's got caustic soap on it, so I'll drop it in the water too. Now, I'll lay a piece of parchment over the top like that. And just get a spatula and kind of slick it down so that the paper is stuck to the soap and the soap has a more or less a smooth top on it. And then we'll pop the top on the insulation, and I'll get a pot full of water and set it on there and weight it down so that the soap is pressed into the mold nicely. Now what it's going to do, it's going to continue to react, and it's exothermic, so it's going to make some heat, and it'll turn into a warm it'll look like axle grease. That's called the gel phase. But by tomorrow it'll be solidified again, and then we'll take it out of the mold, set it up on a rack, and let it cure for about 6 weeks, in which time the water will dry out of it, and the last little bit of reaction will finish up very slowly. So that's it. Wait till tomorrow and we'll unbox it. Okay, here we are the next day, and it's time to have a look at the soap. Remove the insulation, remove the paper, remove the insulation box, and we'll basically, with this silicone mold, just be pulling it to release like this. Bend it a little bit, stretch it. What you want to do is just push down in the middle and pull up on the corners, and they'll come right out. It's a tight fit, but the soap does not stick to the silicone like it does other types of molds. And there you go. All that needs is just a little bit of cleanup. Here we have 6 bars of homemade soap. Most of the reaction has finished. You can tell because it's cool, it's room temperature, and it's mildly exothermic, so you know most of the reaction is finished. But before it's proper soap, it will still need to sit on the rack and cure for a minimum of 6 weeks. And the soap's properties are not fully developed until it has cured. You buy one of these wire racks. You know, it's just a cheap folding wire rack like you cool pies and cakes on, and you just stack it on there. But then you want to take this and set it on top of the refrigerator or someplace where it can get good ventilation and be a little warm. And then you can make a nice paper wrapper like this. And so there you have it. You can visit my website at KV5R.com and look for the homemade soap button. Thanks for watching.